Hello everybody, sanibonani. Welcome to my channel. Igama lami nguNtando Mdletshe, and on this channel siyaye sifunde iy'ncwadi ebhalwe ngolimi lwethu lwesiZulu. Bese sizalana sizoxoxa ngazo le story esuke sifundile senzela laba phela abangenazo isikhathi ukuthi bayifunde le ncwadi nalaba nje abanqinayo ukuthi bayifunde. Siyaphinda futhi sibuka ama-reality shows ethala eMzansi bese sizalana sokhuluma ngawo, senza ama-reviews nama-recaps. Bese siphinda sikhuluma nge-any other issues avela uma ngabe lama shows sesiwabukile kwi-TV. Today asikhulumi nge-reality show, so I guess ukuthi today we are talking about any other issues, because the only reason we're going to be watching the show is because this show, which is a talk show, is done by the reality show stars zakuthando neSithembu. One of them is also on Real Housewives of Durban, so it's only right ukuthi silandele le show just to see how it does. So I've been looking forward to it, but I was managing my expectations because Igumbi Lamakhosikazi, I have watched it on YouTube. It didn't impress me very much. I thought the show was boring, and I thought for the most part kukhuluma omakhumalo kakhulu when it comes to giving advice. So are we told kakhulu that dynamic among all four of the wives. So I go YouTube and I had never watched it ngize ngiqede, but looking at the views we YouTube abantu, they really like it because it has really high numbers on Ilokhuzane YouTube. So I guess even SABC1 thought about that when they decided to see by commission le show lena, which is Igumbi Lamakhosikazi. Kodwa the difference here it's not all four wives, it's only 3. It's confirmed sesibukile first episode izolo at 9 p.m. It's MaCele, Umayeni kanye noMakhumalo Mangwabe is not there. They didn't even touch on why she's not there. Anyway, it would be weird for them to talk about that. Magu qala isho. But guys, overall I was impressed. It's a good show. They've got a good idea there, and I guess because then they have other people behind the show manje nakusiyo nje eyabo laphayana just on YouTube. It does make a difference. So let's talk about how a show looked. First I looked at the sets. When I first saw a set, but I thought okay, that's beautiful. It looked like a beautiful set, but then I looked at it and I was like, is that a kitchen? Did they make a set look like a kitchen? And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, it looks like almost like it was a background was ikishi. And I'm like, Haibo, did SABC1 just do that? Did they just do that, guys? I just couldn't understand it, because think about it. Ilokhuzane igama leshow lithi Igumbi Lamakhosikazi. Why would they decide to make a set a kitchen? Are they saying that a woman belongs in the kitchen? I felt like Auntie trying to get away from that thing. And a woman belongs in the kitchen, which is the very idea of why these women are out here making moves and making changes and impacting lives. And now why in the kitchen? I just didn't get that idea. I didn't like the idea. I didn't get it. I didn't like it. They could have put them in a space that looked like a high class, very luxurious boardroom or something. I don't know. They could have done anything but a kitchen. I just felt like, why would they do that? I didn't like the set for that reason. Not that it wasn't beautiful, it was beautiful, but the idea of it, the fact that it was a kitchen for a show called Igumbi Lamakhosikazi, it's like you're saying a woman belongs in the kitchen. I didn't like it. I didn't like that idea. And there were issues with the audio, especially at the beginning of the show. Listen here, I don't have an expensive TV, so I did have to consider that. But then I did consider, because I watch other shows with that audio on my TV, and they sound okay, and I didn't adjust anything before watching this show. But it did it been a sound strange at the beginning. Towards the end bengazi ukuthi bayifixile, but angazi noma you guys felt the same. I did feel like that. So at the beginning, they just introduced the idea, yes, Isthembu and whatever. Really, honestly, the women looked beautiful. Amakhosikazi amsekile know how to look beautiful. You know, Makhumalo is always going to bring it. She goes above and beyond when it comes to how she looks. MaCele looked really beautiful. Guys, bonke bebe bahle, but there's something about Umayeni, guys. Umayeni, it's almost like those people that don't need to do a lot to look. I'm not saying it's a competition because bahle bonke, but there's just something about beauty kaMayeni. It's almost like she doesn't have to do a lot. She just has to sit there and smile. She really I was impressed as well. The hairstyle that she had and the makeup, it just looked perfect. They both, all three of them really look beautiful. I think that when the show started, really the person that was looked like she's really excited to do this was really MaCele. So I'm wondering if this was not her idea, maybe, but she really just sounded excited. She was upbeat. I think out of all of them, she really was excited, but all of them were excited. I think that's just they just started talking about Isthembu just in general. They touch on registration of umshado wesithembu. I wish they had gone into more details when it comes to that. How do you go about registering umshado wesithembu? How does it work? I still don't understand. How does it work? Can they register all of the marriages with the Home Affairs or not? I actually need to research that. So they didn't go deep into that, but they were just saying that women have to consider that. You have to consider lezo zinto lezo zokurejiswa kwelokhuzana. Kwesithembu. So they start talking about isithembu ukuthi siqala kanjani. Amen usually upfront ukuthi bafuna ukuthatha isithembu, and MaCele was the one that said no. She says MaCele isithembu starts with a cheating man. She says isithembu starts with a cheating man, which was a very good point that she made. She says, and I think she wanted to make it a point that she referred it to her story. Listen, on this episode, I really could relate more to MaCele, because for me, it's easier for me to relate to somebody that can tell me their story and then give advice based on their experience. That's why I always say sometimes I'm a motivational speaker. Speakers don't do it for me, because sometimes they don't speak from their own experience. They will just tell you what to do when you wake up. You need to do this, wake up, exercise and run. I need to hear, how you did it. MaCele talks about the fact that I don't know, for some reason she feels recently that she needs to clarify that point. She never knew MaCele wanted Isthembu. She says yena nje ayingazi yena wayihlanganelana insizwa, wayishadela insizwa, and then masesemshadweni, then it became difficult for her, because and that's when she realized hayibo le ndoda really he wants ukuthi athathe Isthembu. So for her, in her opinion, Isthembu siqala ngendoda echithayo, whether after ubese yamukela ukuthi hayi Isthembu yavuma ukuthi sithathe kuqhutshekwe nempilo kanjani, that's up to them, but she feels like kuqala ngendoda echithayo. Khumalo yena, the routes that she takes, she says yeah, it could start with indoda echithayo, but sometimes umuntu, it's their dream. I guess Khumalo has bought into the dream kaMaCele, because into the stories kaMaCele, so it's his dream to he has always wanted this idea of having a big family and having ilokhuzana amakhosikazi amaningi ney'ngane eningi. What if vele from growing up umuntu knew ukuthi and that's what they wanted? It was always their dream, it was always their purpose ukuthi bafuna ukuthatha Isthembu. And I think that's the difference between the two of them, and I think that is because of when they came into Isthembu. She did point that ulokhuzana MaCele ukuthi abantu have to realize ukuthi and phela vele ufika esithenjini different, ufika at different times. MaCele says it's different when you are in a marriage, basic introduce Isthembu. While you're in a marriage, you're the only one, and it's different when you're coming in to the marriage. Sesikhona Isthembu, sesakhiwe Isthembu, and then you are coming in uzo lapho. And I think vele their point of views will be different, because they are at different points or places kulo amshado lowa or esithenjini, you know what I mean. So it makes sense ukuthi uMakhuluma believes ukuthi yena maybe umyeni wabo comes from a standpoint ukuthi this has always been his dream ukuthi ufuna ukuthatha Isthembu, because vele mayemisa umseleko already had Isthembu, so she has an idea ukuthi vele it's something that he always wanted even before ashade with unkosikazi wakhe wokuqala. But uMaCele is at a different place, because she's like, but if that was the case, then why would he not tell me before I get married, and that's what he wants, so that I can also make a decision on whether I want to be Esithenjini. She's like, no, that's not it. It's not a dream that existed before this person. We got married. After we were married, he's telling me he's lonely. He's telling me he needs 20 children. Anyway, saying information that we know from Uthando and his team. But there was the differences in their opinion. Umayeni and I agrees. She feels like indoda should be upfront. This is what I'm gonna do. It makes sense for Umayeni to take that position, because for her, she has always said there was a reason it took so long for them to get married, MaCele, because she didn't believe in Isthembu, but not more than that, her family didn't believe in Isthembu, so she couldn't get married to MaCele because MaCele was upfront. It's interesting to me ukuthi MaCele was upfront with uLokhuzana, was upfront with uMayeni ukuthi ufuna ukuthatha Isthembu, but mase shada uMaCele akabange saba upfront. That makes me feel like he manipulated uMaCele, because if you tell angithi uthandane noMayeni kuqala watshela uMayeni ukuthi okay Mayeni ngizothatha Isthembu, Mayeni is like, that is not going to work out for me, and more than that, it's not going to work out for my family. And then it's like, okay, the next one I'm not going to tell, I'm just going to marry her, and then after maybe a year or two, then I'll introduce the idea. So it makes me feel like MaCele was manipulated into getting into Isthembu, but I thought she already knew before that. So yeah, so they talk about that, and at some point I thought Umayeni was playing Candy Crush. I was like, oh, I laughed so much last night. I was like, is Mayeni playing Candy Crush during a talk show, But I think because my questions were on their phones, that's what she was looking at. I'm hoping that's what she was looking at, because at some point she looked a little bit bored and she was on her phone, but I guess she was just looking at the questions because the questions were on their phones, and I think the links as well, when they go to advert, everything was on their phone. Here's the thing, uMaCele and uMakhumalo, I think they struggled with talking over each other. Maybe it's something that they need to improve moving forward with the show, because the show is long enough for all of them to get the opportunity to speak. And maybe uMaCele did feel like because uMakhumalo is used to being on the radio talking and maybe uMaCele was conscious of the fact that she doesn't want to be ngathini angafuna ukukhulumelwa more by uMakhumalo, so ufuna naye ukuthi azwakale. So it ended up at certain points, it ended up like talking over each other, bayabanga ukukhuluma, but it's not like it was tension or anything. They were very relaxed about it. They got along actually. And Umayeni is always gonna just wait for her turn to speak, and when she speaks something very valuable ezwakalayo, kodwa akabangi ukukhuluma. I feel like there's a difference. I think it's something that they have to work on, where they have to really just wait for somebody to speak and make their point, but they have to be mindful of how much time they have. I think the show is like 30 minutes. They have to be mindful of how much time they have, so even when the person is speaking, they have to let others speak as well. So then they get a question from the viewer. Hayibo, the craziest question. Guys, men. I know, guys, but she's one in. But I know, invites me. My I need to be there. This man, this wife, says, okay, her husband retired or resigned from work. I think retired years ago. He hasn't been working for years, so she's the one that has been taking care of the household and everything, and through her business. And she says her business now is starting to do very well. It didn't sound like the husband has helped with the business, but here is the thing. This husband says, ufuna ukuthatha over business la lo mama lona. Now that it's successful, he wants to take over this business and then take a second wife. Yo, I thought men banesibindi esinamafutha eceleni and everything, banesibindi esinonile. you know, how do you do that? And this woman is like saying, "What's this man? I've been with him and I've supported him for so many years. Now he wants to do this." I would walk out of that relationship like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out the gates. But yeah, they advised as much as they could advise. MaCele felt like it's important for them to know, is this her business or is this their business as a family? But really, in the question, it sounded like it's her business, and she's been taking care of business. Now that it's successful, he wants it, which is the view of Makhumalo as well. Makhumalo felt like that's what the woman means. Makhumalo says her advice was, you know what, this relationship might just be over, because if whether this woman says yes or says no, but it's gonna be an abusive relationship moving forward, because in some way he'll find a way to because she said no to giving him the business. And also if she gives him the business, then he has power now. Now the abuse will start. So he's gonna have power now, and he's gonna have a second wife. I can't even compute ukuthi this woman is even considering giving this man a business. Like, so then they call Ubabundabe, who is a historian. That part bored me. I don't understand why they would bring that man there. I didn't I didn't see it. I just wanted to see women on that talk show. I really just wanted to see women and women only. But maybe people feel different. Their reasoning for it, they said that they just wanted to create balance, so they are not biased. Why can't we just be biased sometimes as women and just talk our own women issues as women? And they said he's a historian, and I felt like they could have found a historian that is a woman. There was no need to bring a man into that show, but they brought him. And he said this, almost the same thing that they were saying. I didn't feel like his addition to the show was that valuable, maybe because I was a little bit irritated by the fact that they had a man on the show when I didn't want them to have a man. Maybe I didn't take the time to listen properly to the advice that he was giving. But he did say something like, this woman needs to go and see a lawyer. That's one thing that I thought was valuable. She needs to go and see a lawyer, because this man has a plan MaCele that is not gonna work out for this woman. So that was the show for today, guys. Overall, it really, I was able to sit there and listen to them until the end of the show. If I have time next week, I'll watch the second show, so that's a good thing if I feel like I want to watch the second episode. But yeah, other than that, I did feel like that woman, this woman must just divorce him and go home. But yeah, I did miss Umangwabe. I don't know if you guys missed it, or if you remembered even that she's part of that package, sort of. But I did miss Umangwabe, even just to see him, guys, because she is my favorite. But yeah, I think they're doing well with that show. Yeah, there's things that they still need to work on. I hope they get a new set, because that set I didn't like specifically. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a great show. They say they have 13 episodes, so I guess we have more interesting topics that are coming up. So yeah. But anyway, please like my video before Pumegiona. Don't forget to share it with your friends, with your family, and even with strangers. And please, if you haven't subscribed, do so. Thank you so much. Nginithanda kakhulu.